In about 1995, I read an interview with Scott Heim in a newspaper, and I thought the subject matter of his book, Mysterious Skin, was fascinating. I was really drawn to the alien abduction aspect of the book. But then I picked up the book, read the book, loved the book, despite the fact that it's not really about alien abduction. It's about much, much more than that, and it moved me very deeply. It is my favorite novel of all time, so I decided many years later that I wanted it to be my next project, and this was back in 2000, 2001. Mysterious Skin is my first adaptation. One of the biggest challenges was how to boil down this 300-page book into a 90-minute to 2-hour stage play. So it involved a lot of cutting. The first third of the book is actually really not a part of the play at all. I sort of reference the first third of the book through some precisely chosen flashbacks, but other than that, the play takes place in the present day of the book, which is 1991. I had a lot of freedom with the adaptation because when I was talking to Scott on the phone about it, he said to me that I am a playwright and he is a novelist and he doesn't know anything about theater, so he really gave me free rein to do whatever I wanted with the book. And so with his blessing, I made a lot of changes, cut a lot of characters, I pumped up some other characters just to serve the dramatic structure of the play. You really have to pick and choose as to what are the essential elements of that story in this form. Not that those other elements aren't important, because they're in the book and they're important because they're in the book. But for this form, some things become more important, some things become less important. So what became really important in the adaptation, in the play version, was the sort of main story of Brian on his journey to discover what happened to him when he was 8 and blacked out twice, events that he can't recall. And the second part of the book that I thought was really important was Neil's story, and Neil is now hustling in New York and on a self-destructive path. So I felt like because those two characters were the focal point of the book, I had to make them more of a focal point in the play. So that dictated that some characters would have to be cut in order to serve their stories. I do feel that if you look at the play and you look at the film, those two pieces of work are very much a product of the people who made them. Greg Araki, who made the film, is known as sort of like this renegade, bad boy, underground filmmaker, and the movie really has kind of that gritty, renegade sensibility and quality to it, and that's just a part of who Greg is. And I think the movie also focuses, I think, more on the Neil character than I do. And I think that's because Greg probably identifies with Neil's bad boy quality more than I do. The play really has my kind of nerdy sensibility. I'm not the renegade, underground, whatever. So Brian was really the primary focus, I think, of my efforts at the beginning, even though I'm telling parallel stories. I do place more of an emphasis, I think, on Brian's journey, even though the two characters eventually meet and merge and go through their arcs together. For me, one of the major themes that I really responded to was just the idea that the book was about extremities, extremities of experience, of desire, of all different types of things, and I think Scott really pushes things to an extreme, not for shock value, but it's because it really is one of the major themes in the book. So any way that the play can push extremes, I think, is a good thing, because I think it's serving sort of one of the sort of thematic thrusts of the novel. Most of my plays and most of my writing tend to veer towards the comedic, and Mysterious Skin is actually my first and only drama. It is definitely the darkest thing I've ever written. I may return to darker drama one day, but I was just so moved by the book that I felt compelled to take it on as a challenge, because I always want, with each new project that I work on, with each new play that I write, I always want it to for it to be a challenge to me somehow, either in terms of subject matter or in terms of structure. The challenge was, one, I had never done an adaptation before, and two, it was a really, really heavy, dark drama, also another thing that I'd never done before. So when I'm faced with a challenge like that, and I'm kind of fearful as to whether or not I could achieve that thing that I want to achieve with this new project, I know that it's a good idea to go forward, because you always want to keep challenging yourself as an artist.